Tim Lammers live here at Rentschler Field in East Hartford, where last week the Huskies took care of an ACC team. Today, the Big 12 comes calling. Highlights of the Huskies and the Baylor Bears are next in sports.
And coming up at 11 tonight, what happened right before a Jewett City toddler grabbed his dad's gun and accidentally shot himself. The affidavits are detailed and sad. More on that story. Also, a Connecticut man accused in a Super Bowl scam. Wait till you hear what he's accused of doing to his co-workers. And taking a bite out of the fat in the Big Apple. The new rules aimed at slimming down the big city. That's all next on the Fox 61 News at 11. Now at 11, disturbing new details in the shooting death of a Jewett City toddler. How the tragedy may have been prevented. Plus, sudden price spikes at the pump. The state demands answers. Also, bailing out the big U.S. banks in a serious red. The plan that could cost you and me billions. And it's not the birds, but the bees. An infestation like you've never seen. The news at 11 starts right now.
Now, the Fox 61 News at 11.
First on Fox tonight, chilling new details about the 2-year-old boy who shot and killed himself. That tragic night, the toddler's mother scolded little Wyatt for playing with the gun just minutes before he shot himself. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Erica Arias. We are learning more tonight about what happened in the moments leading up to the Jewett City tragedy. According to newly released documents, Wyatt Matthew was watching a movie with his mother, Rebecca, and 3-month-old sister. His father, Jason, was sleeping. That's when he went into the bedroom to the gun on the nightstand and reached out for it. Rebecca Matthew says she grabbed Wyatt's hand and told him no. She then brought him back out to the living room and told him not to touch the gun. She told Wyatt the gun was bad boo-boos, and he repeated that back to her. It was just a short time later Rebecca heard a gunshot. She ran to Wyatt, saw he had shot himself in the eye. She picked him up and handed him to Jason, then called 911. Jason told police the gun Wyatt had taken was his, a gun with no traditional safety, which he keeps loaded in a nylon holster on the nightstand next to him for security purposes. Rebecca Matthew also told police there's usually a child gate blocking the entryway to the bedroom, but it wasn't up that morning. Rebecca and Jason both face risk of injury charges. Jason was also charged with criminally negligent storage of a firearm. Both are due back in court October 1st. Tonight, we know the identities of the 2 men who died in a boating accident in Burlington. Police say 24-year-old Sezmon Mrozek and 31-year-old Gregory Kita of New Britain drowned after their canoe flipped on Mott's Pond around 4 yesterday afternoon. Divers recovered their bodies late last night. New Haven police are investigating a hit-and-run accident at West Rock Ridge State Park. The DEP says a Jeep hit a 53-year-old man around 12:30 this afternoon and then took off. The victim was taken to Yale New Haven Hospital and is being treated for head injuries. Some witnesses were able to get a partial license plate of the Jeep. It's a Connecticut plate, 556UVY, or maybe 556UVT. If you have any information about the incident, call New Haven Police at 860-424-3333. Before Hurricane Ike, one price after another. The state expands its investigation into price gouging at the pump. Fox 61's Tom Lewis is live tonight in Wethersfield with more. Tom?
Erica, you know, crude oil prices have fallen from $150 a barrel down to about $100 a barrel. But you know what? You and I are not paying much less in gasoline when we go to the pump. And now with Hurricane Ike, everybody's wondering, are consumers being gouged? And I say everybody, I include in that the state government. The Department of Consumer Protection now has subpoenaed 10 gasoline wholesalers on top of retailers like Citgo, Cumberland Farms, ExxonMobil, Sunoco. Some of the biggest names. Governor Rell says she's been flooded with calls on a hotline saying, look, we're being gouged. We're paying excessive prices. Even though oil's fallen, gasoline has not fallen. We did talk to one representative for the oil companies who says, give us a break. It was Hurricane Ike that did most of the damage to the prices. Live tonight in Wethersfield, Tom Lewis, Fox 61 News at 11.
All right, thanks, Tom. With many financial institutions lining up for a handout from the federal government, one of the largest regional banks in New England is one of the few that's doing just fine by itself. In an exclusive interview with Fox 61, the CEO of People's United Bank says his bank has never had exposure to subprime loans and that it's sitting on an unprecedented amount of cash and capital. Sheringham went on to say he is cautiously optimistic about the future of Connecticut's economy. People's Bank has recently been profiled in Barron's and Forbes. Both praised the bank for thriving in these uncertain times. Well, a scary ride to school this morning for some kids in Scotland. Their school bus hit a utility pole. It happened on Bass Road around 8:15 this morning. No one was hurt, and the 9 kids that were on the bus at the time were taken to school on another bus. Coming up, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair engages a Yale crowd, talking about everything from the economy to the Beatles. His perspective next. Plus, fighting for history, the continuing battle between Bridgeport and the owner of 2 historic homes. Next. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair addressed 2,000 Yale students in the Elm City today. He'll be teaching some of those same students this fall. Fox 61's Frank Recchia was at the talk. He joins us now live from our Shoreline Bureau at the New Haven Advocate. Frank?
Well, Erica, it was certainly a big transition for Tony Blair, going from Prime Minister to educator. But here in New Haven today, he said that he's really looking forward to teaching a class at Yale this fall. And there was certainly an enormous turnout today in Woolsey Hall at Yale for his talk on globalization in a big economy. The former PM is now the head of his own project called the Faith Foundation. He said the impact of religious faith in a global community is profound. Blair's partnership with President Bush in fighting the war on terror met with much opposition here and in the UK. He told more than 2,000 Yale students it's important to get tough on the economy, but it's equally important to stay tough on terror. From the Shoreline Bureau at the New Haven Advocate, Frank Recchia, Fox 61 News at 10.
Well, it's still unclear tonight what's next for 2 historic homes in Bridgeport. This morning, several city and community leaders did a walkthrough of what's called Little Liberia. They wanted to figure out the condition of the homes and what's next in the fight. 2 African-American women, the Freeman sisters, built the home 20 years before slavery was abolished. ABCD, or Action for Bridgeport Community Development, owns the homes and has for 15 years now. But the property is in foreclosure because the group hasn't paid taxes for years. ABCD wanted the city to make an exception, but the mayor says no way.
There's always the opportunity that they can pay the taxes and then they can begin the development. But I think the best thing for everyone involved is to get these in the hands of people who are expert at historic restoration.
ABCD and the city are currently in a court fight to determine once and for all if the foreclosure will proceed.
Now, your Fox 61 forecast with Sam Samperi.
And one sporting event in New York has one special significance for fans, Yankee fans. Many thought the day would never come, but this is the final weekend for Yankee Stadium. That's right. After 85 years, Yankee Stadium will close its doors for good on Sunday after their game with the Orioles. But the Yankees will give fans quite the treat before the final game. Fans will be able to actually walk onto the field for 3 hours, from 1 o'clock until 4 on Sunday. They can walk through Monument Park, behind the fence in left center, along the warning track and down to home plate. A bit of the buzz gone for Miller. The beer maker pushed back its planned October launch of a new caffeine-infused alcoholic energy drink. It's called Sparks Red. 25 states, including Connecticut, protested the drink, saying it targets young people and it's a recipe for disaster. Connecticut Attorney General Richard Blumenthal says he'll do what he can to make sure the drink never hits store shelves. All right, Sam, one last look at the forecast.
Okay. Yes, it looks like a beautiful, splendid weekend. If you're traveling in the Northeast, temperatures in the 70s. And take a look at our weekend forecast, 71, 78 on the last day of summer as we have a mix of sun and clouds. Then your 7-day, we cool things right off towards the middle of the week.
And autumn starts Monday at 11:44.
Remember that, 11?
Too early or too late. Nice. All right, and that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us for all the latest news and weather. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night for the Fox 61 News at 10. Have a great weekend.